that's because field work is good for you. You know, it'll give you a different point of view.
Yeah, but Elliot, you want me to find witnesses. I wouldn't know where to start.
Well, I'll tell you where to start.
Wait, tell me what to say?
Yeah, I'll tell you where to start and what to say and how to dress. You know, Neil, you gotta stop stressing about stuff like this.
I mean, shouldn't you just hire a private investigator?
What, for $50 an hour plus expenses? You know, no, that's not even. This client is definitely not worth that kind of outlay. Plus, you told me if there was ever anything you could do for me, you would, and then this is it.
Right. Okay. You're usually the first one in?
Actually, since my mom started working here, I try not to come at all. Right? I just have to get a file from my desk.
Right. What's wrong?
That's my mom.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch a single. Are you all right? What is it? Did you see something? What? Sex? Your mother?
Having.
Sex? Your mother having sex?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. With a man?
Oh, God, was it a man?
Was it a man?
Go look.
Are you kidding? No, listen, Elliot. My friend, I need to get some fresh air, okay? So I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, Yeah, there, see? Here you go, okay? Is that good?
Oh, hi. Oh, all right, you look upset.
Why are you doing that in my office?
Oh, honey.
I'm never gonna forget that now.
Oh, get over it. It's not like you've never seen me doing it before.
I've never seen you doing it before.
Really?
No.
How do we avoid that?
I don't know. It's now that image of you like that on my desk now, it's gonna be sparked in my brain now. You know how I get when I get like was that a man?
Of course it was a man. Honey, relax. We were just relieving his tension.
Oh.
His trial today.
Trial? Barry? That was Barry?
Yeah.
Why Barry?
I like Barry.
Oh, what's wrong with Barry? Barry has needs like everyone else.
Yeah, you don't want him to get all wound up in front of the judge, do you?
And that's what I was. I was definitely wound
All
up.
right, yeah.
But now...
All right. I just
Feel
came
better?
to...
Good.
I just came to go to my office to get a file from my desk.
Besides, that could have been my last stab at happiness for quite a while. I mean, who knows how long I'm going to be sent away for?
I do. 18 months.
Oh, that sounds kind of steep.
Possession for the purpose of trafficking? No, I don't think so. And if we can't come up with a suitable witness, it's going to be even longer before you get a stab at happiness. Jesus. I'm going to be in court. Don't be late. Jesus.
Hi. I'm okay. I just needed to... Oh, God.
When I grow up, I'll make things happen. And I know everything will be perfect. And I know I will say all the right things. And I know I won't hurt anybody. And that's how it will be when I grow up. I'll make things happen.
Who is he?
It's another man from my mother's past who may or may not be my father. Well, why do they always have to be such losers all the time, you know? It's like, well, you know, why can't you turn to me and say, hey, Elliot, this is Barry. You know, Barry, he's a successful banker, and he could be your father. You know, it's always, hey, Elliot, this is Barry. You know, Barry's a crack dealer, needs you to defend him, and, you know.
Oh, so he's the client you want me to find witnesses for?
You might not want to work too hard at that, though.
No, I'm sure you don't mean that.
No, I do.
No, you're in shock. I mean, to see your mother like that, or the client. But, you know, at least it was a man. Man.
Oh.
I want you to stop talking to me. You talked the whole way over in the taxi. It sounded like babble, so I stopped listening to it.
Well, that's too bad, because I was trying to prepare you for your trial.
Why? Are you nervous? Have you lost sight of the truth? That woman was conspiring with a terrorist. I was just trying to get her to stop.
So you do remember pushing her off the subway platform?
That's not something one forgets.
Except last week when I asked you, you had. Are you taking your meds?
I want you to stop talking to me now.
Except it's going to be very difficult for me to represent you if I don't understand what's going on. If you're taking your pills, what you can and cannot remember.
I remember every threat the terrorists have ever made against us. I remember that many people here are sympathetic to their destructive ambitions. That's memory enough, believe me.
Hi. How's she doing? I don't think she's on her meds.
Stop talking about me. It fills me with anxiety and
sorry.
distrust.
Yeah, she's just asking how you're feeling.
Well, tell her that I'm feeling awful. I can't sleep. Whatever medication they put me on at that hospital gives me nightmares. Hey, what are you doing?
He's just putting her back through the x-ray machine.
Why? Is there some credible threat that I should know about? Are we in the middle of an alert?
He's gonna go through my bag, too. It's just routine.
Oh. A lot of good that'll do. Does that thing detect anthrax spores?
Edith, I don't think she's ready for this.
Well, she's probably as ready as she's ever gonna be. I could have a disease in my purse and you wouldn't know about it.
I don't know where the man is. I'm not his keeper.
Well, actually you are, Lucia. You're surety.
I told that judge I'd do my best. I didn't say I'd attach myself to him. Anyway, he said the Reverend could still attend to God's work.
This is serious. When he didn't show up yesterday, he breached his bail and they issued a bench warrant. So now we have got to find him and get him in there or he's going to jail.
Well, then I'll just hop along in this car and go locate him.
No,
then.
that's not what I meant. Never mind. If he comes back, he needs to call me right away, okay?
What do you mean, if he comes back?
Hello.
This is his life's work here. You think he's running away from his life's work?
When did this happen?
Huh? Are you listening to me?
Oh, okay, thanks.
That man is not running away because of one little misunderstanding with the police. That man is just out there going about his life's work.
No, that man is in jail. That was the police. The Reverend forced someone's car off the road. He's been charged with dangerous driving and assault with a weapon.
Well, that just can't be right.
You know, that's exactly what you said to me when I told you that he'd been charged with assaulting that kid at the funeral.
That was no assault, and that was no kid. That was a violent criminal, and the Reverend was an angel of God bringing down his vengeance.
Uh-huh. Do you think maybe he's been out there bringing down some more vengeance?
Well, if he has, we'll all be standing behind him, as always.
I mean, you're willing to bail him out again?
If that's what the Lord wants.
And how are we going to determine that?
Well, I'll ask him, won't I?
Okay, can you ask him now?
She tried to push someone onto the subway tracks. That's a very big no-no.
The woman was barely hurt.
Yeah, but if your client had succeeded...
You're pursuing this on the basis of what could have happened?
People expect to be safe when they take the subway, and we want them to know that we don't think they're a bunch of wusses for feeling that way.
Well, I just don't think that she's fit to stand trial.
Okay, doctor, but our guy who actually has a medical degree thinks differently. Look, maybe you should be thinking of getting her declared not criminally responsible.
She'd be better off pleading and going to jail. We go the NCR route. She could end up in the hospital and end up never being able to get out. If you just consider mental health diversion.
No, I can't do that. This thing probably needs to run its course.
You're just saying that because you've got a high-profile complainant with a big mouth and lots of friends in the media, and she wants her pound of flesh.
Yeah, of course, there's that public safety thing.
She's taking her medication. She's seeing a psychiatrist. She's relatively stable.
Relatively stable. You and I are relatively stable, honey. She's a paranoid delusional with a temper.
Excuse us. Who's that?
Her new stud. Apparently, he's worth hundreds.
I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever they throw at me, and I'm ready to tell my story.
Okay.
Here's Barry.
All right.
He's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
I love it when he gets like this.
Is he high? Because I'm not going to go into court with him if he's on something,
No, he's just
okay?
enthusiastic by nature. You know,
Okay.
he was the first male cheerleader in our high school. I'm telling you, it's a real tragedy that his life turned to complete rat shit.
Right.
Look who it is. I need to have a word with this guy.
No, hey, Barry, that guy is a cop,
Yeah,
okay?
I know. He's the one who arrested me, but I know what he's trying to pull. I should have been charged with simple possession, but he made it trafficking because he's got a vendetta against me for a little thing that happened 2 years ago.
Hang on. What little thing?
You don't have to answer that. That could be incriminating.
Hello, I'm his lawyer.
Yeah, but you might have hard feelings for him because, you know, he failed to acknowledge you.
What? What are you talking about?
Oh, she means as my son. But that's only because I didn't know until Ronnie brought it up.
Yeah, only as a possibility.
Oh, yeah, but now that I've seen it.
People, I'm not your son, all right? And even if I was, I also which I'm not, right? I also happen to be your lawyer. Okay, so just tell me the little thing. What did you do to the cop?
Well, he was undercover and I exposed him.
Exposed what? How?
You see, he'd set himself up in a park. He was trying to lure all these pathetic junkies into his web, so I tipped them off, and he's had it in for me ever since.
Plead, definitely plead.
I can't plead. I'm not a trafficker.
I know, but he's gonna go in there and portray you as one, right? Because of the little thing, and the judge is gonna believe him.
What are all the witnesses Anil's supposed to round up?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I call them witnesses? Yeah, I meant to call them just participants in a desperate attempt to keep you out of jail. Look, it was a dumb idea. It's probably not gonna work anyway.
All that matters, son, is that you try.
No, stop calling me that, all right? Please tell him that he's not my father.
I'm not 100% sure that's true, honey. It was a very active time.
was just a stupid mix-up, okay? I left the store, I forgot I had the thing on. It looked like crap anyway. I can't lose my job over this. You have to make sure that I can go back to work for Caitlin. If I don't get my papers, my mom and dad, they're gonna... Ah!
What's that mean, ah?
If I have to change families, then I won't complete the program. Now, I know this one girl. My God, it was a mess with her visa. Caitlin has to take me back. She has to.
Okay, she's agreed to be your surety and she's paying me, so...
So I don't have to worry.
You have to worry about being in jail charged with theft.
I told you already, it was a big mistake. I forgot I had the thing on.
That's just stupid. Who's gonna believe that? No, we should just try to make you sympathetic. So tell me about your life of poverty back in the Philippines.
We weren't poor.
When you say you weren't poor, you mean compared to orphans and prostitutes?
No, my dad was an electrician.
Did you live in a house with a roof?
No, we had an apartment near the ocean.
Dangerously exposed to typhoons, family packed in like sardines.
No, there were just the 5 of us. Me, my 2 sisters, and my parents. And we had 2 bedrooms. You can't do this. You're trying to make me look like one of those...
One of those new arrivals from unfortunate circumstances who often receive mercy from a judge.
A refugee. I hate that shit.
Okay. The alternative is to say that you had a cushy life in the Philippines, but you decided to come to Canada so you could steal jewelry.
I don't care. It's all those women.
What women?
The playground, on the street, looking at me with a white baby. And it's, you know, oh, poor little Filipina nanny. And I just want to say to them, you know, I'm just 2 little words short of being married to some rich Canadian doctor lawyer myself.
Okay. I'll do my best. Thanks.
I approached him at the southeast corner of Moss Park. When I reached him and I tried talking to him, I noticed that he'd put something in his mouth, which made it difficult for him to speak.
What made it difficult for me to speak were his hands around my throat.
Be quiet, sir.
Well, I thought you might be interested in the truth, Your Honor.
You want to have a word with your client, Mr. Sachs?
Not really, no.
Well, it's hard for me to remain silent under the circumstances, but I'm interested in hearing all the lies this officer plans to tell, so I'll let him continue.
Well, that's big of you. Go on.
I asked him repeatedly what he had in his mouth, and he finally responded by spitting a small tinfoil ball into my eye. He then spit 8 other small tinfoil balls at me in rapid succession.
A reflex action. There was no malice.
Mr. Humboldt was then searched thoroughly, and 10 other tinfoil balls were found on his person, each of them containing about 0.2 grams of crack cocaine for a total of 3.8 grams.
All for my personal use.
Now, how much would a crack addict normally smoke in a day?
Objection calls for speculation.
Detective Diaz was on the drug squad. He would qualify as an expert.
Go ahead.
A hit is 0.1 grams. They usually max out at 2 hits. So at that rate, what he had on him should last him at least 3 weeks.
Some expert. I can do that in a few hours.
So, in your opinion, Mr. Humboldt was going to do what with all of the drugs that he had on him?
He was going to sell them.
Oh, you wait until my son here gets a hold of you. See how your lies hold up then.
Your son? His son. That makes sense.
As part of your undercover operations, do you buy crack?
Yes.
Do you smoke the crack you buy?
Oh, Your Honor.
I'm just trying to establish the extent of his knowledge base.
Okay, but make it fast.
Oh, God, yeah. Do you smoke the crack?
I just buy it.
All right, and do you ever hang out with the addicts or the dealers when they smoke?
No.
So you really have no idea how much a crack addict uses?
I understand addiction.
Oh, all right. Do you have a degree in psychology or psychiatry?
No, but I've spent 6 years on the drug squad, and I've done over 50 major drug investigations.
Well, I'm afraid that only makes you an expert in buying drugs. The only real information you have on addiction is what you've heard or read, which means the best we can expect from you today is secondhand information, which is really the textbook definition of hearsay. Do you ever shop at Costco?
Yes.
And I assume you do that because it's cheaper to buy in bulk?
Yes.
Right, because you are an experienced consumer. Just like my client here, who was only trying to take advantage of a discounted price by buying in quantity. And that's why he had all the drugs on him. Not because he was a dealer, but just because he was a smart shopper like you are. That's it.
Did you hear that? Costco. He's a genius.
Why are they keeping her in jail? It's just shoplifting. Let up murderers. Walk away, for God's sake.
She's not landed, and her living arrangements are iffy.
Iffy? She lives with me.
So you're not kicking her out?
She's worried about that?
Something about this program.
Oh, the live-in caregiver program, yeah. She has to work as a live-in nanny for 2 years, and then she gets her Canadian residency. But she has to complete the 2 years within a 3-year period. If we fire her, she'll have to get a new family, get a new work visa. It could take months.
And she could run out of time.
Exactly. Oh, no, let me. I insist. Keep the change. Plus, well, Mina's not a great nanny. She's not reckless, but she's a bit lazy. I don't know how long she'd last with most families.
But you're more forgiving.
Oh, I just feel sorry for her. You know, she wants to hang out, go to clubs like other teenagers. Instead, she's a live-in nanny looking after someone else's kid. And the other thing is, back home, things are pretty rough for her family right now.
Really? She told you that?
No. Her mother wrote me, you know, to ask how Mina's doing, letting me know how important it is that she has this job because they're
poor. Poor and desperate.
Yeah, somewhat. The father's been out of work for a long time. The mother makes it sound like Mina's their big hope.
Their big hope? You mean their last hope? The only thing that stands between them and starvation. Come on.
Where are we going?
I have to get into plea court.
Aren't you going to try for bail?
No. We're going to throw ourselves in the mercy of the court and go for discharge.
You can pull that off?
Piece of cake.
Oh, but so how are you feeling now? I mean...
I don't know. So what is she like?
She's a crack addict.
Yeah, I know, but does she seem reliable?
No, she seems like a crack addict. There was a bunch of them standing around, and she just seemed like the best candidate.
The best in what sense?
Well, you said you wanted somebody with a lengthy history of addiction. Yeah. She definitely looked like she'd been at it for at least, you know, 10 years.
Dear Jesus.
Hey, Elliot! Long time no see, man!
No, not really. Thanks.
Well, she's no good.
You know what? You just listen in for a little while, and then you be the judge. Okay? Hey.
Hey.
So, I thought you were supposed to be in jail.
I don't know. I thought they were letting me out too early, but sometimes I lose track of time.
Yeah, okay. So, you know what? I'm sorry. We know you're a very busy woman, and we apologize if we wasted your time.
Hey, what's that mean? He said it was a done deal.
No, it's not a done deal, and you know why? Because we need somebody who can answer questions.
What?
Someone who can make sense.
All right,
someone who can do all this stuff without interrupting. All right, and we also need someone to be honest. All right.
Honest.
Yeah.
Meaning looking honest.
No, meaning being honest.
Being honest.
Yeah.
Meaning.
Okay, you getting a clear picture here?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, but look here. I'm going to give you $20 for your time.
What time? What, do you think we're dragging her away from important stuff over there? Do you know how many hours that I have put into this woman over the last 3 years? She gets nothing, all right?
He just wants to negotiate. You can give me 25% up front. I'll get the rest later.
The rest of what?
The 500 he promised me.
That's too much, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, man. But I want 300 at least.
Well, you know, we're a little distance apart then, because I'm still offering nothing.
Elliot, we don't have anybody else. We have to pay her something for her testimony.
But her testimony is going to be useless. And you know why? Because no one's going to understand her testimony.
Okay, suppose I do it right. Suppose I make sense.
Okay, well then suppose I give you $50.
50.
Yeah.
Just 50.
Okay, 50.
But no matter what happens, if your guy goes to jail, you can't blame me and withhold the funds. Okay. I still get my 50.
Yeah.
Not 100?
50.
Okay. Jeez. Big man. Hey! Giselle! 50!
Drug dealers aren't the only ones who drive SUVs with tinted windows. Is there any reason why that's who you thought the kid was getting into the car with?
Do you think God was being ironic when he gave black men eyes?
I'm sorry, what does that have to do with the question?
For too long, we pretended not to see. They need to keep you in this building, little man. They need you here. Remember that the next time you find yourself sucking on a cold glass nipple of a crack pipe. Don't keep giving them what they need. Do you hear me?
The kid that got into the SUV, why were you watching him in the first place?
The boy is Lucia's grandson. She fears deeply for him in his time of temptation and vice.
So she asked you to stalk him?
Because I share her burden, I decided to guard and protect him. But when a white man protects one of his own, you call it a natural act. But when a black man does it, you call it a crime.
You understand what happened, though, right? He was with his dad. That was his Dad's SUV that you rammed?
An unfortunate mistake, for which I blame his father for. If he'd ever attended church, I would have recognized him, and this never would have happened. However, I apologize, and I'm willing to plead guilty as long as you get me out of here today.
Well, Reverend, there's no guarantee that pleading guilty will get you out of here today, or tomorrow, or even at all.
I have work to do. The world is falling asleep, Mr. Ryder. Comfortably floating in a stream of brainless television and online pornography. You have to get me out of here.
I'll try, but driving around smashing into people's cars, they might want more than just an apology. They might require you to undergo another psychiatric assessment, or maybe even agree to...
I see our children blindly accepting the pitiful future being offered, while they dream of the instant gratification of a basketball or football career. Dangling illusion, meant to keep them from using their minds, keep them from the sense of power or influence. Do you hear me, my brothers? Don't be deluded or dissuaded. Don't be obedient to the call of expectations. Rise above it all. Rise!
I was standing on the platform at St. Patrick's Station. An Arab man, approached me and asked me for directions. I was giving them to him, and the next thing I know, she was in my face screaming at me.
And what was she saying?
She called me a terrorist collaborator. She said she'd been watching me conspire with my colleague and that she knew what we were up to. And then she went on about how I was only willing to risk the lives of innocent people because I didn't believe in peace and freedom. And then she tried to push me onto the tracks. A train was coming, so I screamed. Some people saw, they intervened. And thankfully, I only wound up falling down on the platform.
And her terrorist friend slipped away back into the darkness, back into the caves and canyons where he plots and schemes and waits.
Can you control your client, Mr. Ray?
Probably not, Your Honor.
Then we're in for a rough ride.
I tried to tell Mr. K that Ms. Gleason is not fit to stand...
Oh, be quiet. Why do you talk so much? Well, get on with it. I haven't got all day.
Describe the injury you suffered.
When I fell down, I hit my head, and I got a concussion. I also twisted my lower back. I'm in physio for that. Also, since the incident, I've been feeling pretty emotionally fragile.
Drama queen.
Shh, stop talking. What's wrong with you?
Ladies.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I think I've got post-traumatic stress disorder. Every time I go outside in public, I feel very uneasy, very hyper alert. I even sweat. I never sweat. It's affected everything, my work, my social life, everything.
Yeah, now you know how the rest of us feel while we wait for one of your friends to blow us all up.
No more questions.
I just want to say, I understand that this woman has a problem, a mental illness or whatever, and that society has to be tolerant of that kind of thing, but there has to be a better way of showing tolerance than letting dangerous people run around unchecked.
The mental illness or whatever that Ms. Gleason suffers from is called schizophrenia.
I know what it's called.
You do. Do you know what it is? What it does to people?
Yes. Look, I didn't mean to sound callous. I was just...
Sure, whatever. The point is, do you think that Ms. Gleason belongs in prison?
That isn't my decision.
But when she was originally arrested, you spent an entire day in this courthouse insisting that she not be dealt with through mental health channels.
Objection.
Ms. Landau has a strong personal bias, which far outweighs her ability to be an impartial witness.
Ms. Landau's not just a witness. She's the victim. She's allowed to have a bias.
And I went to bail court on the advice of my attorney to ensure that my rights as a victim were properly considered. Big deal.
The big deal is that you would probably prefer to have everyone with mental illness shipped off to a island somewhere.
Your Honor, I know where she's going with this, and it's something that's already been discussed.
I would just like to have stated for the record one more time that Ms. Gleason is not ready to stand trial today and that this whole thing would be better served in 102 court.
All right, that's enough. You have to shut up because the sound of your voice is making me sick. I mean it. It's actually making me nauseated.
All right, Miss Gleason, just calm down.
Well, I don't like the sound of your voice either. Or maybe it's just the things you say. I'm not sure.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ray, but the fitness issue has already been resolved. If I were you, I would concentrate on defending my clients.
But with as few words as possible.
And Miss Gleason, I think you should try to sit quietly and listen to Mr. Ray advocate on your behalf.
Whatever that means.
Ms. Landau, is it true that you've been seeking Ms. Gleason's permission to write an article about her?
I'm a journalist. I thought she'd make an interesting story. The plight of the mentally ill, but she wouldn't give me access.
Refuse access? Do you mean talk to her?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, does that make you angry?
Well, I'm a little put out. I wouldn't say
so
that
when
I'm...
it serves your financial purposes, you're willing to take a sensitive approach to the plight of the mentally ill. But now that you've been rebuffed, you'd rather see her burned at the stake? Nothing more from me.
Good.
Well, I wanted him to keep an eye on Owen. I never asked him to drive somebody off the road. I guess he came upon them getting into the car and he
went nuts. Yeah, the thing is, I thought he was making progress.
He is. Our church is almost full and many of them are young people.
No, I meant with his illness.
What you see as illness, we see as his inner flame.
Okay, the thing is that he was staying out of trouble, he was reporting to the court, and I think that the people around him...
meaning me?
The people around him should be careful not to get him too worked up, because otherwise one day he might just...
Just what? Get a little fair play and decency happening around here?
That's it.
Here
You
we go
know
now.
he almost killed us? He slammed into my truck, Mom, okay? He was screaming at me like a lunatic.
He thought you were a drug dealer.
Drug dealer?
Because of your black SUV, he regrets it now.
Yeah, that's good for him. You his lawyer?
Yeah.
Man needs help.
The man is a reverend, and you should be calling
He
him
used
that.
to be a reverend, okay? Till he set up that dumbass church.
Watch your mouth.
You know, any crazy idea he comes up with, they all do it. They have these late-night meetings in the park, right? Now, they're not praying or anything. They're just sitting there.
Because when we are sitting there, the drug dealers don't use that park to mess up our children.
No, they don't. They just go somewhere else. It's nuts, Mom. You have no idea what you're doing.
We know exactly what we're doing. We are protecting our young people. And you should be doing more of it yourself. Just look at that boy. Don't gawk at that young woman. And pull up your pants, fool. Have you ever seen anything more ridiculous than those hanging pants?
Mom, I told you, okay? It's just a style, all right? Get off his back. He's okay.
How do you know he's okay? When are you ever home? That boy is out there on the streets alone, surrounded by evil predators. They need to be stopped.
Yeah, and you're just the people to do it. Do you know what they were doing last week? They sat on lawn chairs in front of a crack house all night playing euchre. They do all sorts of things like that, like following drug dealers around so they can't make a sale, hanging around prostitutes, yelling at their pimps.
Well, that doesn't sound very safe.
No, it's not. And someday one of them's gonna get shot in the head.
Were these all the Reverend's ideas, Lucia?
Well, that sounds like a question you want to use to get him back into the hospital. And I won't answer it.
Wow.
And you gonna make sure that my grandson stops bothering all the women in this building. Never mind. I'll do it myself. Get out the way.
Jesus.
I told him and I told him, and
Mom.
now I'm going to paddle his butt.
You coming?
No, I'm just gonna watch. If that's okay.
Mom.
Oh, wait. Come on.
By way of background, my client fled a very difficult situation in the Philippines. Her father can't find work. Conditions in her family's cramped apartment are extremely difficult, and the apartment itself is basically exposed to the elements. She works as a nanny. She's a trusted employee, shown by the fact that her employer has presented herself in court today as a sign of support. So if Your Honor would consider a conditional discharge, the fact that Miss Garcia both works and lives in the home means she's a good...
No talking in the body of the court.
We usually let the clerk do that kind of thing, Mr. Weeks.
Sorry, Your Honor, I was having trouble concentrating.
You were disturbing your reading, you mean?
I was just wondering, trying to determine whether a conditional discharge is even appropriate in this case.
Well, the answer to that question isn't in that book, Mr. Weeks. It's right here. Let's put the book away. Pay attention. Go on, Miss Dow.
I've forgotten where I was. It's his fault, Your Honor. He's always doing things like that to throw me off.
Things like what?
Sir, you're disrupting this court, and you're going to be asked to leave if you can't be quiet. Do you understand?
Your Honor, I'm Jake Flannery. I'm her husband. I'm not quite sure how to do this, but I object.
Oh, for God's sake.
You object to what, sir?
Well, I don't want her in my home. So if you're thinking of
Jake,
letting her out...
don't do this.
Look, she is even a horrible nanny, and now she's stealing. She's probably already taken stuff from us.
God, you're such a turd. Do you want her in jail?
Your Honor, I object
To what, Miss Dow?
to this objection.
I think I'm the one that should be objecting.
Well, who's stopping you?
I don't want her in jail. I just don't want her in my house.
Well, that's too bad. You can't just chuck people away like trash the second they disappoint you. And look at her. She's a pathetic immigrant.
Yes.
No, I object.
Oh, God.
She's a thief, and she's not even a
I don't
very
think an
good nanny.
accused can object, Your Honor.
Mr. Weeks, put the book down.
This poor immigrant bullshit. I am not pathetic.
Objection.
The defense attorney can object to her own client. I don't need a book to tell me that.
I think she's in denial about her situation, Your Honor.
So what do you want to do, Miss Dow?
Well, I'd like to finish my plea because I think my suggestion was...
No. Your suggestion isn't going to work. You want me to let her go live with her employers, and they can't even decide between the two of them whether that's doable.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
You see what I mean?
Your Honor, would you mind telling the Crown Attorney to stop smiling at me in that condescending way? He's trying to make me nervous.
Oh, I'm sure he's not even paying attention. Are you, Mr. Weeks? Mr. Weeks?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Try to stay with us, Mr. Weeks. It'll only be a little longer. Sir, this isn't a school. You can't just wave your arm at me.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah, just spit it out.
Look, she is a horrible nanny. I mean, we have her on the nanny cam surfing the net for hours. She goes out with her friends. She comes home drunk. Now, I wanted to fire her weeks ago, but she's a charity case for my wife, just like our cleaning lady who can't even clean.
Magda is a refugee from Hungary.
Oh, there are no refugees from Hungary anymore. It's a safe country now.
Okay, I think I got the picture.
What about the letters from her mother?
Yes, my mother sends you letters?
Your father's having a hard time getting work. But don't worry, it's all right. I've been sending them money, and everything's gonna be...
Are you kidding? This is unbelievable. I'm supporting them now, too. What's your problem, woman?
Well, right now, my only problem is you. You
All right,
that's enough. Get him out of here.
Stop this white liberal guilt thing. It's a sickness.
Compassion is a sickness. Well, maybe for somebody like you, Jake, without a soul. Maybe for somebody like you, who's never done a hard day's labor in his entire life. You know, Jake, I remember that first time.
I'm gonna be at the food bank.
That first time that I gave you $20.
Well, that didn't go very well, did it?
I want to go home. Deport me, I want to go home and be with my family. I did steal from them. I'd steal from them again. And I hate their stupid kid. You know, she's a brat. She has 3 of everything. I hate her, and I hate their family, and I hate this stupid country. So if I admit to everything that I've done, will you please let me out of jail and let me go home?
That sounds fair to me, Your Honor.
But suppose the word gets out, Miss Dow. Come to Canada, go on a stealing binge, and they'll give you a free flight home.
Good point.
Oh, shut up. Ms. Gleason, do you understand why you're in court today?
Objection. Mr. Ray is attempting to conduct a fitness examination.
Didn't I explain why that wasn't on the menu, Mr. Ray?
Fitness for trial is an ongoing issue, Your Honor. At the very least, I should be allowed to explore the possibility that right now...
Fine, but make it brief.
Do you know why you're here?
Because I pushed that woman.
Do you remember pushing that woman?
I remember not trusting her.
Because you thought she was a terrorist.
I see her every day on that platform, always at the same time. Terrorists have rigid schedules. It makes us believe they're normal people and gives us a false sense of security.
Do you still think that she's a terrorist?
I don't know her well enough to say, but I will say she doesn't seem like a very nice person.
Do you know who I am?
You're my extremely talkative lawyer.
And how about Mr. K here? Do you know who he is?
Yes, he's the prosecutor and she's the judge. Do I pass the test?
With flying colors. Can we please move on
But if
now?
you ask me if this trial is a conspiracy, well, that's another question.
What do you mean?
The government has its own way of dealing with terrorists, so even if I was right about that woman, you wouldn't want me to know.
I don't work for the government.
Well, who's paying you? Because I'm certainly not.
Legal aid pays me.
In other words, the government. A government that condones and apologizes for terrorists at every opportunity.
Your Honor, any reasonable person listening to that would just... But... Nothing further.
As a diagnosed schizophrenic, when you assaulted Miss Landau on the subway platform, were you suffering from a paranoid delusion?
Objection!
She opened the door to the accused mental state on direct.
He's right, Mr. Ray.
Ms. Gleason, are you in control of your actions during these periods of paranoid delusion? Miss Gleason?
Maybe you're a paranoid delusion.
Are you prescribed medication?
Medication isn't the word I'd use to describe what they give to me.
And do you take it?
Makes me feel like I'm a paranoid delusion.
So you spend your days wandering around Toronto in an unmedicated delusional state.
What is the point of
I
discussing...
have a duty to explore whether the Crown should be requesting a finding of not criminally responsible.
No, wait, look, I told you how I felt about having her...
All across North America, chemical plants sit completely unguarded. The quantity of sarin released in the Tokyo subway could fit in a bottle of eye drops. I'm sorry if I hurt that woman. I know it was probably the wrong thing to do, but this problem isn't going away. And if I don't look after myself, then who will? Well, come on. There's a question that actually needs to be answered.
The Reverend has worked closely with inner-city youth for a number of years. He's seen firsthand the effects of violent crime on his neighborhoods.
Racism is an industry, Your Honor. Exploiting the weak to benefit the powerful. Would you like to know why society doesn't care about getting to the roots of crime?
More than anything, sir.
Because all prosperity is built upon the backs of the wretched of this earth, even yours. If poor people weren't forced to break the law in order to survive, you'd only have a part-time job.
Good point. Now, it's important that we hear what your lawyer has to say so that we can decide what to do about the matter at hand.
But that is the matter at hand.
Well, actually, the matter at hand involves only the ramming of the SUV and the innocent pedestrians that were put in harm's way.
For that, I apologize and offer up any compensation that might be required. Now let me out of here because I have serious work to do!
Okay, so do we. Now, we have to find out why you're behaving in this manner.
Well, several unfortunate incidents in which kids that he cared about were shot and killed appear to have affected him deeply.
My heart bursts for the mothers. That's it mostly. My heart bursts!
The main catalyst was the shooting death of a young man with whom he was particularly close, Raymond Clark.
I taught that boy how to see through the lies. He grew into a fine young man any parent would be proud of, but he...
Raymond was the victim.
They shot him down like a dog! This wonderful child!
Reverend Thomas's previous charges before the court stem from an incident at Raymond's funeral.
Several young men whom the Reverend believed to be linked to local gangs appeared at the funeral, and when the Reverend was trying to eject them, he assaulted one of them and then made a number of threats.
Dr. Newman?
He was assessed and found to be extremely paranoid and prone to delusions. As far as I can tell, Reverend Thomas has never been accurately diagnosed, and whatever his condition, seems to be getting worse.
I'm inspired to provoke change, and your only reaction is to call me insane. The system is impenetrable.
Is there a joint submission?
No, Your Honor. But the Crown wouldn't oppose a conditional sentence of 3 months house arrest in order to maintain and seek regular psychiatric care.
Mr. Ryder?
Court's indulgence, Your Honor. 3 months house arrest, really not too bad, considering everything.
No, I must walk among the people. I must protect the innocent. Let me address the court.
No, please, no more addressing...
The capacity for free thought is just as absent from the minds of the powerful as it is from the minds of the wretched. So in these troubled times, you cling to the false prophet of procedure. Either let me go back to my congregation or incarcerate me so I can use my expertise in counsel to assist my fellow inmates.
Am I to understand that you're rejecting the conditions that have been outlined and prefer to go to jail?
Yes.
No.
90 days in jail, what good will that do?
It's his idea. He wants to get in there and help out.
But what about the congregation? How are we supposed to sustain ourselves without him?
Listen to her. Sustain ourselves like he's Jesus or something.
He serves the same purpose, and we'd be lost in aimless without him.
Well, I just don't know what to tell you.
Of course you don't. You've been about as much help as a bag of dirt through this whole thing. Where's that child of yours? I want to get going.
I don't know. I thought he was right here.
So typical. You are a useless and neglectful father. Let go. Did I ask for your help? You want to be useful? Why don't you find your child before he gets consumed by demons and sucked into the fires of hell?
Why do you talk like that?
Why? Does it scare you?
A bit.
Get out the way, get out the way.
I didn't understand what that judge was talking about. Of course, I wasn't listening closely because I have other things on my mind.
Well, basically, she agrees that we should explore the fitness issue further.
Well, that's your issue. Mine is the terrorist menace. When will we be exploring that?
Do you want something? No. First, we'll get you back into mental health court and then to the hospital for a brief assessment.
No. Shouldn't that woman be in jail?
In a perfect world?
Can I talk to you for a minute?
No.
No.
I just wanted to let you know that I won't be opposing hospitalization.
Your own?
Please, I just want a chance to tell her story. I wasn't testifying willingly. The Crown Attorney more or less forced me.
That is not true.
You're calling me a liar? Because I'm not a liar.
Yeah, you are. You're also an empty shell of a human being and a total waste of space. I've been reading your columns. The way you write about your fluctuating weight and your man troubles and your trips to Portugal, it's really important stuff. Now, you ready to take on mental illness?
Wait, I was just trying...
You're trying to exploit this woman's misfortunes, you bloodless demon. Now get out of my face and leave my client alone.
Oh, now you've done it. She'll be seeking revenge. You can bet on it. They're big on revenge.
Please, will you come with me to mental health court?
No.
Please.
All right, but only if you stop yelling at people.
Oh, Your Honor, she's not an expert. She's a drug addict, Elliot.
She has acquired special knowledge through practical experience. Experience which Your Honor does not have. I mean, do you?
Well.
Do you mean, am I a drug addict? No.
Oh, well, good. I mean, well, you know what I mean. And furthermore, it doesn't matter how the expertise has been gotten by the witness, as long as the witness has got that expertise, right?
Sure. Makes sense to me. Put her on. I'll be back in 5.
All right, then. So I can use her then.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I used to use just heroin. Then I went on methadone, started smoking crack. And now that I almost exclusively use that. Except sometimes I do a speedball, which is heroin and crack together. But mostly I'm off the heroin. And if I can't get crack on the street, then I go get my maintenance methadone. But if I go to jail, then I have to use heroin because they don't let crack in jails because it makes people too excitable.
I take it as an antidepressant.
Be quiet, Mr. Humboldt, and Miss Davis. Try to stay focused.
Excellent, excellent advice. So, Miss Davis, as an expert crack addict, I take it that you are familiar with the term 8-ball.
Yeah, sure. The thing about heroin, though, is it kind of slows you down, and then there's the vomiting, which just...
Let's try to stick with the whole 8-ball thing, okay? Which, as a matter of fact, is precisely what I am holding here in my hand. So, Miss Davis, in your expert opinion, how long do you think it would take to smoke this?
Few hours. I could show you if you want.
That won't be necessary. Nice try, though.
So what you're telling the court is that it would not, in fact, take a day or two, but only require a few hours. Is that correct?
Okay. Yeah, just out of curiosity, what do you do with that when the trial's over?
Well, we're not giving it to you if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, so you're a drug addict, right?
Yeah.
Would it be safe to say that you're also a chronic liar?
Under certain circumstances.
Yeah, those circumstances being that you would do or say anything to get drugs or to get money so that you could buy drugs.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. Did Mr. Sachs pay you to be here today?
Objection. I would pay her if she were a doctor.
Yeah, and a hell of a lot more than $50, too. Not that I'm doing it for the money. I think the charge against this guy's crap. He's not a dealer.
And how would you know that?
Because you never catch the dealers. You only catch the users and try to make them out as dealers, which turns them into dealers because they think, what the And that's why I'm here, to say that. Not for the $50, but I'll take it anyway because it was offered. But I think he's innocent.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for confronting them and their lies.
Mr. Humboldt.
No, Your Honor. I'm going away anyway. Please. They've got that vindictive police officer on their side, and all I've got is a crack whore. No offense.
Hey, none taken.
Look, I'm being sent away for something I didn't do, and it's an awful miscarriage of justice. But I have to tell you, all I've got on my mind is how I want to hear my son acknowledge me before I go inside. Can you do that? Can you call me Dad? I mean, just once.
Okay, that's enough.
No, he's gonna do it. Just give him a minute, please. I mean, it means so much. I mean, since nothing in my life has turned out very well, come on, show a little pity. Okay, never mind. The defense rests.
It's just impossible.
I'm gonna
There's something about the eyes.
For the love of God.
Well, it would have meant the world to him.
Oh, please, come on. We're not even sure that it is true.
Hey, Elliot, what? You got my money?
Oh.
We could get a paternity test.
No, okay. I prefer to cling to uncertainty, thanks, though.
Hey, $5 more.
Uh-oh.
You should have said it, you know. He's going to be in prison for 6 months. All I wanted was a simple acknowledgement. I'm a little disappointed in you.
Oh, my God. You're breaking my heart. Where are you going, Mom?
I can't be around you right now.
You were doing it on my desk. Okay, let's not forget that while we're trying to make Elliot feel bad. On my desk.
Maybe I'll just, go ahead.
Well...
You know, God said he'll erase all your sins. You know, you come to Yeshua, you come to Jesus. You like a preacher's kid I know. What's your name?
Come.
And you, young man, you got plenty of time to go out and serve the Lord. And that's why I'm here. Just say to yourself, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, thou art with me.
Well, you may just have to get used to the concept that he could be your dad.
No, there's no proof. You know, I kind of want my father to be that bush pilot that she always used to talk about, you know?
No, they only had sex once on a dock.
What?
She tells me things when they're at the copy machine.
God, I just can't deal with it being Barry, you know? Especially because I got that image of them on my desk stuck in my head.
I walked into my parents once, and it was in the missionary position.
Oh. Oh, God.
This is the best buffet in the city. We should eat here all the time.
Do you think we're ever going to get to go out, just the two of us?
I don't know.
Doggy style? Oh, your parents. God, I mean, that's something you take to the grave with you.
Next time on This is Wonderland.
Did you just say you light your tongue on fire?
Yeah, that's what he said. And yet there he sits, you know, wanting to be taken seriously as a witness, right?
Does that mean that he doesn't believe me? Well, I can demonstrate if you like.
No, that's okay.
By straightened him out, you mean his responsibilities. I mean, you didn't know that you were going to burn down the workshop.
No, I was just thinking about pounding a nail into his head.
Coming up next, The National.